Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, August 9th. We're on the European account. We didn't actually finish all of the Americans account. We needed to play 50 Murlocs, and ironically we've got 50 Murlocs we need to play here too. So if I just play 30 Paladin class cards, maybe I'll play 5 Murlocs in that. And that's, I think, all I need to do. Or do I need to play this too? Yes, I need to play this Tavern Brawl. So we'll come over to the Paladin and we'll copy this. And looking at the Paladin deck that we're playing, it's a mech deck, so odds of us having any Murlocs are low, but whatever. We need to play our 3 games and get our pack and be done with it. I'm moving kind of slow today, which, like every stream, I'm always wanting to speed this up and get things done quicker than it ever actually takes. But yeah, I want to cover the news, and I've got a lot of work that if I can get around to actually doing it. Oddly, like working on my server, the number one thing that increased my productivity in working in there was simply turning the fan in the room to maximum. It was spinning at like a lower speed, and I just, you know, pulled the chain and cycled through it until it was at the maximum speed, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's a lot cooler in this room now and comfortable, and now I'm not just miserable for no reason as I'm trying to type in all these Linux commands and make some sense out of how to install and set up things. Alright. Do I want to do this? Or do I want to wait?
Reporting for duty.
Let's go ahead and start burning through the news. TechRaptor has an article, Coverage Club, Clawstaff misses the mark. Clawstaff seems to be a really ugly looking game. Why they'd even bother to cover it, I don't know. One thing I will give credit to mainstream video game journalists is that they do seem to have some filtration in their minds where they won't just play terrible looking retro games. TechRaptor was clearly given a free code for this game, but there's no reason to need or use that free code.
The battle.
Let's see. If the game looks like what that game looked like you might as well have just said that's not worth any of our writers' time. On the other hand, it is nice when they occasionally try something different. But even as somebody who has tried a lot of different things on Steam and covered a lot of different games, frankly, if it looks like a NES game and it isn't an NES game and it looks bad, or if it looks like a ColecoVision game or an Atari game, the graphics are just so disconnecting to me that I would never give it the time of day.
Converting stored energy.
And in return, Gamma Sutra has an article. Discord is launching in-server streaming later this month with a new Go Live feature. This is interesting. You can stream gameplay up to 10 friends in the server while hanging out together in voice chat. That's hardly streaming to like Twitch or YouTube or Mixer even, though. So I don't really see the idea here. The only thing I guess is you get your own servers and you get to run things. So if you only have a group of 10 friends, which that's reasonable, like that you'd have only like 10 friends on your personal Mixer server and you want to just stream to them and no one else, which might be a good parenting move, quite frankly. Is like, if you want to stream your games, you're going to do it on Discord, you're going to stream it to your friends and your friends only. Now, it doesn't really stop anybody from capturing that video and streaming it to Twitch or YouTube, so it's not 100% safe or secure as far as I assume the software will work. But it at least stops the majority of that kind of element from happening. I'm gonna draw first. You always draw first. Alright. So then we can do this. And we can do this. And we can do this. And then end the turn. And all he really needs is like a silence. And that would kill my guy pretty easily. There's another story that we'll talk about in a few minutes, I'm sure, of where Twitch also has launched a app for streaming, which, okay, yeah. I will say that Twitch has managed to not cause any too much more controversy, I think, in the past 7 days. So they're maybe getting back to a position of not snowballing down into the mud as fast as possible. On the other hand, Borderlands 3, at this point, there's actual calls for people to boycott Borderlands 3. That was what I thought Borderlands would manage to avoid no matter what. Honestly, I thought, regardless of whatever Randy Pitchford did, regardless of what 2K did, nobody would have enough frustration to actually boycott the game. And I still kind of assume that the calls for boycotts and people saying that they're going to boycott Borderlands 3 is mostly just puffery and Twitch talk, Twitter talk. But yeah, they really stepped in it with their harassment of the leaker, and now people are upset about that, on top of people already being upset that it was an Epic Store exclusive. They definitely pushed it too far, and now I guess maybe, in a weird way, if I think about it, it might not be a terrible idea if Borderlands 3 did fail. It's not great for the video game industry. It's not great for 2019 as far as games being released, AAA games being released and played. But if somehow it failed so bad that Randy Pitchford had to sell Gearbox or go into bankruptcy, if that was the outcome, and then some other company purchased the Borderlands series and put a new spin on it and put more effort into it, that would be great. It would be even better if 2K itself went bankrupt, and yeah, I guess 2K would be the one that would have to go bankrupt. Like, there's two separate things that would happen there if Borderlands 3 just failed miserably, which it really can't because it's already getting paid from Epic Store. But if it failed miserably and that caused Randy Pitchford to finally sell and get out of Gearbox, and Gearbox then as an entity was run by somebody better, that would be way better, I think, for Gearbox and the video game industry in general. If 2K failed and they had to go to bankruptcy, and their license their own ownership of the Borderlands series, transferred hands to who even knows who would buy it. They would do a better job, frankly. Let's just say it's some small independent, a conglomerate of independent companies that form a new corporation and swear to do things better. There might be something to that would make sense. That being said, probably not. It does sound more like fantasy than reality of what would really happen. What would really happen if 2K went out of business because Borderlands 3 failed is either Ubisoft or EA would buy it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was EA. And then you would just get an annualized microtransaction laden versions of Borderlands. So the best I guess you can have hope is you should vote your conscience, definitely, and if you want to boycott Borderlands 3, it's a good idea. Best you can hope is this sends a message to 2K and Gearbox in a lot of different ways, saying these actions are unacceptable, and this would lead to leadership change at 2K and Borderlands, 2K and Gearbox, while not actually causing the entire companies to collapse. Like, if the person in charge of 2K changed, if Randy Pitchford left Gearbox, and that would be a better situation, I think, than anything else. Alright, is this a mech? This is a mech, so if I was to do this, it would be at 12, which should still kill it. So we have to kind of do this, attack here, and then do this. That's pretty much all I can do. Moving on, Game Citra has an article. The Final Fantasy XIV team is reworking the base game content to be more compact. This is basically the idea of having an accelerated experience for new players, not take as long as it took the original players. They're going to make them less tedious, and a rework is being developed alongside a new Game Plus mode for a later patch. Final Fantasy XIV being the online game. I think it's been relaunched, at least it's been launched twice, then launched once, then relaunched. And so this would be effectively making a third relaunch of the game, trying to get more people into it. I think Final Fantasy XIV in particular is a great example of somebody just trying the same thing over and over again.
To battle!
Is there anything I could do the same myself? Nope. So just attack. Next we have a game on Steam called Head Over Heels, which looks like it's an isometric puzzle platformer game. You definitely don't see games like this in the modern time. There used to be a lot of games like this in the Windows 95 days, but I don't think they were particularly happy with them. You can see there's... well, these things don't even want to load, so it's like there's two more screenshots here I can't even load, and they're heavily focusing on logos instead of showing actual screenshots. It's $7.99 English with full audio. I don't see anything here to catch my attention. This might be an example of something that is a hidden gem, but I'm not willing to risk that. Sounds like they changed the sound effect there when you lost. Next we have a game on Steam called Speedway Challenge 2019. Oops, Did not mean to bring that up full screen.
Uther versus
This looks like
Gul'dan.
it's a 2 zoomed out
Your soul
racetrack
shall be mine.
racing game.
I will fight with honor.
Doesn't maybe has some RPG elements. It's $5.99. Bunch of languages: German, Dutch, and Polish. Yeah, nothing visually impressive about that though. So let's trade out all these cards. Would be nice for the effect of playing this Tavern Brawl to actually get a victory, but it'd be more efficient in time just to lose 3 times in a row. Be, I guess, most efficient to maybe concede. Next we have a game on Steam called Jackson the Thief. This looks like another MS Paint level graphics game, platforming type thing. Again, if this was a Windows 95 program, this probably would sell pretty well. I can't even tell if Jackson is supposed to be a male or female there. It's drawn so poorly. Let's see if we can pause the video and then bring it back here. Jackson's arm. Jackson, I would assume, is a male name. But these look pretty feminine eyes. This look like pretty feminine hips. But it's just terrible drawing. Jackson the Thief is $1.10. $1.19 discounted in English only. It has 26 achievements that are numbers, so I can tell this is an achievement game. I do see the beginning of the end, so if we burn through these terrible games, of which there are many, I think we'll be done relatively quickly. But we also have a lot of Hearthstone that I think I'll probably play off screen. Next we have a game on Steam called Button Up, which seems like you're trying to play cooperatively or play at the same time controlling 2 characters, which kind of means I'm out immediately anyways. Seems like it's maybe a player versus player game with a small single player puzzle experience. It's $9.59. Does say it has multiplayer, but that might just be local multiplayer. It's English, Chinese, Japanese, and traditional Chinese, so I suspect this is a Chinese game. In fairness to a lot of other Chinese games, this isn't the worst looking one. Seems like when they hit a light, they turn into a button that can be then used as a platform. I should have played this first. That was bad. Bad strategy on my part. Yeah, I don't think Button Up though is good enough to be on the fall list. It's just a slightly better version of a bad game.
Put this apple on your head.
Comparing it to something like this, Sanitarium Rush, where it seems like it's a low effort game, a puzzle game of some sort, with a ever increasing wiggle effect put over it, as if this is what insane people will always see. 59 cents discounted, 24 achievements, English full audio allegedly. Sanitarium Rush, not a game that's with it. See, I could have done this so much better. Alright.
Converting stored energy. Converting stored energy. That's not a valid target.
Alright. I should have hit that. Oops. That would have made a lot more sense to kill this guy. Yeah, actually leaving him alive might take out more damage. Anyway, Sanitarium Rush, definitely not making it to the follow list. I'm in this weird position because, like, I started this stream just rambling about, like, working on a Linux server and low-level Linux programming that nobody cares about, I'm sure. And ranting about how I'm not really playing games right now and making footage, and haven't been for 2 or 3 weeks at this point. So I'm rambling and ranting just about general things. Or now we're covering video game news, but it's mostly just Steam garbage, because there's not really any other video game news worth mentioning. The one thing being discussed is just not worth talking about ridiculous conversation. So I'm left with nothing to say of import in many different ways. I suppose at a certain point I could just say forget looking at games on Steam, and let's just play Hearthstone, but I definitely don't care about Hearthstone enough. And see, we're just a couple days into the new expansion, and it's like, alright, I'm seeing some new cards, that's about it. I'm not seeing a major change in the strategy in Hearthstone. So I'm kind of just meandering and wandering around, since there's not a lot to do. Moving on, we have a terrible game on Steam called The Gun Knight, which you can tell by the graphics looks horrible. Looks like it might be a top-down twin-stick shooter. It's early access, it's free, it's English only. Yeah, right. Do I want to play something like this? I wonder. Kinda have no choice.
Last warning.
I should have attacked that with that. That was a mistake.
Get in there and fight, maggot.
Here's some real news from Gamasutra. Activision Blizzard's Q2 net revenues falls year over year to 1.4 billion. What was it before? Yeah, it was 1.641 billion, and now it's 1.396 billion. So that's $2.5 billion in this quarter lost, from just not having a good Call of Duty sales or a good experience with Overwatch as far as microtransactions of World of Warcraft or Hearthstone or Heroes of the Storm or any other many Activision Blizzard properties. Let's see, this breaks this down.
Uther versus Thrall. For Doomhammer, I will fight with honor.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down the article to see if they actually blame it. Blame what? Hearthstone's MAUs. I wonder what MAUs are up quarter of quarter. World of Warcraft subscribers have increased since May. Yeah, there's nothing in this article that really explains why Activision's Blizzard is losing money, but they totally should be explaining that, because it's pretty obvious to anybody who knows Activision Blizzard and has been following the news, is that they're hemorrhaging talent and their games aren't selling well, and they don't have any new great game to pull them out of this slump. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article, the Australian Ratings Board working to completely ban DayZ for promoting cannabis. So, apparently, Australia is very not happy with DayZ and cannabis in general. I don't know if DayZ is really in any position where it matters too much. So, but it would matter certainly to be banned in Australia. That's a big country. Australia is more conservative than you would think, it seems, all the time. Gamma Sutra has another article. Twitch launches a beta for an all-in-one streaming app, Twitch Studio. I believe Twitch bought Streamlabs at some point, but I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Twitch Studio looks to eliminate the needs for programs like OBS or XSplit that handle the more technical side of the stream on platforms like Switch, and offer a handy handful of Twitch integrations on top of that. That being said, Twitch notes that it sees Twitch Studio as a more accessible way for streamers to get set up, rather than something to lure experienced streamers away from programs they already use.
Let me think.
I don't see why you wouldn't want to use Streamlabs software instead, or OBS or XSplit instead. Quite frankly, if you can't figure out how to set up OBS or XSplit, you're not smart enough to be running a Twitch stream or a YouTube stream in the first place. And there's a level of protection in ignorance that you probably should consider not losing.
Access denied.
Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article. There's a report that the parent company of the publisher Annapurna Interactive is exploring bankruptcy. Annapurna Pictures is a movie production house and parent company of the Florence, Gorogoa, and Donut County publisher Annapurna Interactive. So this is very possibly the first story we will see, but probably not the last story we will see, where you're in a situation that let's see, how are we going to do this? We need to do 8 damage.
Converting stored energy.
Yeah, this might be the first story of Hollywood who has been trying in small parts, in little bursts, to become more involved with video game development and publishing and such, instead of just being licensors. This may be the beginning of seeing why that really doesn't work. Because let's face it, the people in charge of Hollywood movie production companies are all idiots that think they aren't idiots and think they're geniuses. They make random, stupid decisions all the time, and it's surprising that anything good or artistic ever comes out of Hollywood, ever. And very little does. Usually it is extremely focus tested to death and extremely generic. Excuse me. It's a bigger story, certainly, about not being careful and deciding who is going to be invested and involved in your development of your business. Having an investor like a movie company comes with the risk of that investor pulling out. That's in part what happened to Telltale Games also. So I would say Telltale Games is the beginning of TV in Hollywood becoming investors in video games and then pulling out quickly and stop funding the development of the games. Whereas at least video game publishing companies know the industry and know how long it takes and how much money it takes to develop a good game. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called The 100 Years War. This looks like a hex-based style of real-time strategy game. Visually, it's not very attractive. I'm not sure I'd ever really want to play a real-time strategy or just strategy game in general like this. $8.99 discounted, English only. Yeah, I just don't think there's enough visual polish on the what you're actually looking at, the tiles, the menus, the characters. This and this and this
The battle
and that.
for
Oh, and
justice.
then I can win. Alright, we're slowly playing Paladin cards. We need to play 17 more, and getting some more victories on the tournament brawl wouldn't be terrible. Gamatsu has an article here. Oninaki Daemon Trios gameplay. I
Uther versus
just
Jaina.
barely remember the name
asked
of the
for
game,
it.
I
Oninaki.
will fight with honor.
There we go. Play. Skip. What does this say? Top-down beat 'em up thing? Diablo hack and slash type game. Yeah, the gameplay definitely does not seem like it falls into the same style as the video at the very beginning here, where you're seeing this character. It's like this totally does not seem to match. So yeah, I'm still not gonna leave this page having a great thing in my mind as far as what Oninaki is. I know Oni is demon in Japanese, Naki, who knows what that means though. I don't. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. Taikai no Tasunjin Pop Tap Beat has been trademarked in Europe. This is the drumming game that's extremely popular.
Let me
At least in Japan and amongst drummers around the world. I would probably not go much further than that in describing it as popular in general. I saw what the Donkey Kong congas actually looked like when you took them apart, and it was mostly air. It's like two little switches connecting via long wires to a board that connected to the plug, and that was it. A very small circuit board. I believe there was a microphone on the circuit board that listened for loud sounds because you'd clap your hands. Still waiting,
the battle.
I guess. Gamatsu has an article here. ESP Raw Day PSI, or ESP Raw Day Psi, debut trailer. This looks like a new shoot 'em up game with the name ESP. I assume that means it's telekinetic people, espers. There is, I guess, something slightly nice to a modern interface for these shoot 'em up games, where you're seeing something that this may just be all art style stuff on the sides. Here, yeah, you can see they're all telekinetic psychic people. This looks like a weird art style. I don't know if this is Chinese or what. But yeah, I want to go back here and just say, yeah, if all shoot 'em up games had a map from the beginning to the end of the level and just more things that they could do at the left and right of the menu, that would be nice. I don't know if, again, I don't know if those things that are being shown though are actual things that matter, or if this is really more of a case of plug that. Next story we have is Umehara Kawase Fresh is coming to the PS4. It will exhibit at the Tokyo Game Show 2019. This is late because this has already been released, I believe, for the Switch and the PC. Yeah, it first launched for the Switch in April. I guess it hasn't come out for the PC yet. Well, I guess then it will come out for the PC, would be my suspicion at least, later on, since all the other Umehara series of games have come out. Since I own Getting Over It with Bene Foddy, I wouldn't be upset, frankly, with the idea of playing that game and then playing
Access denied.
oops, I shouldn't have played that there.
I must move quickly.
And then playing the Umehara series and comparing them, because I think Getting Over It with Bene Foddy is definitely comparable in gameplay style to the Umehara series. Lose all enemy minions.
You'll never win. You'll never win.
Start by changing that and then doing that.
Reporting
And I think that's pretty much all I can do. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, Project Sakura Wars, new combat review reveal and TGS information. Live stream set for August 21st. So we're getting more trickles of information for the Project Sakura Wars next Sakura Wars games. Gamatsu has an article, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice has shipped over 3.8 million, which... that's a lot. That is way more than I would have thought that they actually got, actually. Like, it seems like they jumped from 300,000 to over 1 million. Like, I don't recall there being announcements that it would even hit those kind of benchmarks. I did not think the game was that popular. Or that, honestly, I thought it was going to be a little bit popular, but people were still not going to buy it. It was the way I was looking at it. Alright.
For justice. To battle.
Then we'll kill this. And then we'll end the turn. Next, we have a game on Steam called Tower VR. This is a tower defense game in VR. Arguably, this is the best looking tower defense game I've seen in VR so far, but it is still just a tower defense game with the added burden of being played in VR, and thus being played with a system that can run VR and a system that owns a potentially $600 VR headset. So if you do have VR, Tower VR is free and the price is right, and it's English with full audio. Can't really say much other than that. I'm really at the point where I seriously doubt I'd get VR in this generation. So if I was to put this on the follow list, it's kind of for my own personal reason. I guess I'll do it. I'll be generous. I'll put this on the follow list in case, I guess, just in case I somehow win a free VR headset. But even at that, it's fair to say I would only really play the game for a few minutes.
For justice. Job's done.
Let's see. Gamer Sutra has a video, tips on interviewing for game design jobs. Seems like the video doesn't want to really load up here. And the page seems like it's crashing. This is a GDC session, and the video is not loading. Nope, it just crashed. Haven't seen a smiley, frowny face like that in a long time either. That might be interesting, but I doubt it's going to be super helpful for too many people. Inherently, the tip is be friends with the job interviewer, and and I don't mean be friendly with them during the job interview. I mean have already met and known that person, and thus cronyism kicks in. That's the way to get a job. How do I have a duplicate card? I'm not even gonna bother to figure. Well, I guess that was the card I just got, wasn't it? Disenchant that for 5 dust. Alright, so I need to play 5 Murlocs and some Paladins. I can do that now that I'm out of the Tavern Brawl pretty easily. We'll play 1 Murloc game, and that's it. And then we'll kind of rush and finish through the news. And then this whole weekend, I'm gonna probably not do anything and take just work on my server. We have a game here on Steam, At Home Alone 2. This looks like a Chinese RPG Maker style game. It's really zoomed out, so that visually that looks terrible. It's $1.99 and English and Chinese, yeah, with 10 achievements. Yep, that's not gonna sell. It's not gonna work for me. Just gonna re-roll everything that's not a Murloc in hopes of getting Murlocs. I don't know if this story is an update from what we talked about on Wednesday, but Gamasutra has an article, devs are now required to contact Valve for the release date changes. Yes, here we go. Update. Valve has confirmed that moving the release date for an unreleased game on Steam now requires developers to contact the company to make any changes, replacing the previous system that allowed devs to alter the listed date it will. The release date on a game's Steam page is largely used to list games in the storefront's upcoming release category. Blah blah blah. Valve notes developers are still available to release their games ahead of, on, or after the listed date as long as the build has already passed Steam's approval policy. Along with this policy change, Valve notes that it will now send out reminders via email to developers 2 weeks ahead of the game's release to ensure that everything is still on track for that listed date, which that's a nice thing for them to do. Certainly is give them a reminder to, hey, you said you were going to release this game. are you actually going to release this game? That's doing their due diligence to have a better storefront environment. It's applaudable for Valve. Valve, in a lot of ways, is getting applauded for doing something they should have done a long time ago. Just play that. Moving on, Game of Sutra has an article. Square Enix is shutting down Star Ocean Anomalysis in the West after a little over a year. So it was a free-to-play RPG, but it's not getting any English support. Yeah, that probably would suck. I'd hate if Destiny Child, the game I'm playing on my phone and still mostly obsessed about, although it is kind of just settling into its motions. If the global version of that game shut down and I lost my account, I'd be rather upset. And I don't think I would jump over to the original Korean version or the Japanese version. That would be annoying, to say the least. Alright, well, this is a Murloc, so we need to play that. Or it's treated as a Murloc. This needs to go. That needs to go. And that needs to go. Return. Game of Sutra has an article here. Animoca Brands acquires the digital collectibles marketplace Quid for $5 million. I've never heard of Animoca Brands, and I've never heard of Quid. Let's see. Apparently, Quid is only worth $5 million. Quid owns and runs an online marketplace where users can buy and sell digital collectibles like stickers, gifts, cards, and 3D digital toys. It claims to be the world's largest assortment of digital collectibles and has established partnerships with big names like Disney, Marvel, HBO, and NBA. Yeah. Never heard of it. And see if we could see their website.
I wonder.
And see what it's really about. Let's see. While we're playing this too, that would be an intelligent thing to do.
Shall we make a storm?
There is little time.
I played that wrong. Alright, so here's Quid. First thing they show me is a pop-up, and then they tell me to install a mobile app, and it seems like it is just digital items, then a bunch of stickers and buttons. So they're like doing card pack openings for digital things. Yeah, that sounds like that's a garbage service that nobody should ever get into. That's a waste of time and money. Let's see. Deal 4 damage.
Thunderstruck. Elements guide.
Take the victory, might as well. Even though I don't think I'm even playing ranked. There's the Murlocs played, and now we just need to play the Paladin. And we'll play ranked on Paladin. Next we have a game on Steam called Titan Outpost. It looks like a Dark Screenshot Syndrome asset flip space game of some sort. Actually, it seems like it's more of crawling around.
Uther versus Uther.
outposts. I
I
think this is the actual gameplay mechanic, and these are more just cutscenes and mission givers. This might just be a transition area. It really is all over the place with different art styles, different perspectives, different things being shown. This is another case of I really don't know what this game is, and I'm not happy with it because it's tried to advertise itself to me and it's failed. They want $24.99 with no discount whatsoever. Says it has full English audio. Of course not. Of course this is not making it to the fall list. It fails to impress. Okay, so we've got this and this. So first turn we could just draw a bunch of cards. Just do this. We get one of those. And then do this. And we get hopefully another one of those. Then we end the turn. See, next we have a game on Steam called Terminal Squad Sentinel, which seems to be just a match 3 game with a mech battle theme being animated over on the side, which doesn't drastically change the match 3 gameplay. And visually, I don't think a mech from a top-down perspective fighting monsters or other mechs is that appealing. This is early access, $4.24 English and Russian. I wouldn't call this a Russian troll game as much as it's just a Russian low effort game. I wonder when it comes to the troll games if the strategy actually is more than what it seems. Like, maybe there is a strategy to put out some games that are just low effort games and some games that are actual troll games or extremely trollish games, or maybe it's just an artistic decision on some people's part to determine how trollish they want to actually be. I could rush this guy, I guess. And since I can rush the guy, I can just do this. Next we have a game on Steam called Air Car, and I bet this is kind of a simplistic game, but it is very visually polished. So if this is really just a simulation of flying in a flying car, and that's all it's selling itself for, it really is just gonna, for me, come down to is this interactive, or is this just a on rails video? It requires VR, it's free, so the price is right, it's English with full audio. I think this deserves to be on the fall list. If I ever do get VR, I think this would be an experience worth looking at or trying for at least a moment or so.
Let's go!
Let's see. Gamatsu has the Alliance Alive HD remastered Japanese trailer. I believe this seems to be a Switch game. I think this is one of those RPGs where the graphics look decent in the cutscenes, but there are the small chibi, low polygon characters in the actual gameplay. Let's see, they're at least trying to draw characters that match the low polygon versions of the characters, but I don't think that visually appeals to me by much. Let's see. This is coming to PC, PS4, and Switch. I don't know how this remaster is going to be well received for people who haven't played the game before. but I suspect it is a somewhat popular RPG for them to go through the effort to remaster it and re-release it. We've kind of seen a die down in the fake remasters, people saying a game is remastered when it really isn't, or claiming it's been improved but barely doing anything to it. Afford to do this right now.
Job done.
There we go. Next we have a game on Steam called Tower Alchemist. Again, it looks like an NES style game. It's not visually impressive, although they are trying to put some flame effects on top of the screen. Something certainly you couldn't do with an NES game. But otherwise, it's just horribly drawn.
I wonder.
99 cents, no discount, English and Chinese. Yep, another example of something I think I would call a low-effort Chinese game. But we're not running into too many of them today. It seems like we will just settle into having a certain number of those kinds of games. Regardless, same is true for low effort Russian games.
For justice.
Is there something we can do? We could kill that. That's probably not a bad idea. Next we have a game on Steam called Indian Legends Solitaire, and then they show somebody who kind of looks more like he's Aladdin from Agrabah than Indian from India. I guess there's a closeness there, and then they show some other characters that looks a lot like Jasmine from the Aladdin series too. I didn't see a monkey, I don't think. Regardless, this is just a solitaire game. It's free to play. It does have in-app purchases though, so I really wouldn't recommend playing a solitaire game with in-app purchases. That seems crazy. And this does not seem like it was a large amount of effort to integrate a character and a storyline into gameplay. They just made a cheap, low-effort mobile game, basically being ported to PC. So yeah, in my mind, Arabian and Indian are different. Of course, there's a time difference there, and there's a mythos difference there. We're done with the European account, so let's now jump over to the Asian account. Yeah. So, I don't think there's a country called Arabia, but there's Saudi Arabia. So, there's something to that.
But there's always room for another.
Alright, now on the Asian account, we have one to reroll, and so we need to play Rogue and Warrior and cards in general. So that shouldn't be too hard, but this is also going to be a case of might as well just play ranked. I'm going to finish the news relatively soon here, and then that's going to be the end of the stream, and then I'm going to have to do just probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 hours of extra work of just playing Hearthstone. And it's not even getting victories. I'm going to have to actually play Hearthstone, which means by playing cards, which that really sucks. So I'm just going to trade out everything that's not a warrior card. Next we have a game on Steam called Tactics 5, is Obsidian Brigade. It doesn't look like it's much more than just a, at best, mediocrely animated tactics strategy game. Not sure I'd really want to play something like that anyways. It's not my style of game, and it doesn't visually grab me. $19.99 discounted is really expensive. 31 achievements. Let's see. And we'll take that. And then in the turn. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Hatsune Miku VR is coming to PlayStation VR. We may have talked about this already. Let's see, there's a Steam page we can look at that's for VR. So it's Hatsune Miku singing and dancing, and you're matching with the wands, the actions, kind of like what is that? Saber? Blade Saber? That VR game that was super popular for a long time. I've now forgotten the name though. Yep, Hatsune Miku, $25 on Steam. Full audio Japanese translation, subtitles for everything else. Requires VR. That's a main problem.
Job done.
So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see where VR goes when the new consoles come out. Like, are we gonna see a lot of instances where one would assume the PlayStation 5, the next PlayStation, which would be the PlayStation 5, yeah, and the next Microsoft, neither one, the next Xbox, Project Scarlet, I don't think either one of them are going to have any real support for VR at all. I cannot imagine that on day one they will have any support at all for VR. So all the VR games on Steam that maybe had in the back of their mind a thought that they were going to potentially port and get more sales on the PlayStation VR, I think are going to be very sad to find that that's not the case. Save ourselves some time here. Next we have a game on Steam here called Angry Girl, which somebody spent a little bit of time on this logo and a little bit of time on this animation. I actually have to point out that, yeah, somebody bothered to animate a health bar, whereas most people that make low effort games just put a bar, just a low effort bar in there. That being said, this is just like a platform shooter game. It's super simplistic. It doesn't look entertaining. Doesn't look good. It's 59 cents discounted, English only. I guess the price is right for it though. 4 achievements, which might make it an achievement game, but I really wouldn't say that. Let's see.
Well played.
Let's see. Is this next game tagged sexual content? No good. Alright, so next game we have on Steam is called Lunar Timepiece Shadow of the 12. Now, if this is a Chinese game, I'm going to be super excited and happy by that, because this looks really polished. But I am fairly certain it is a mystery, slightly macabre horror mystery visual novel from Japan. When there's 12 characters, that's a commitment to writing 12 interacting stories, potentially. And that's something I don't think we can expect. Now, this screenshot looks like you might walk around and do some other kinds of gameplay, like some searching and adventuring. Let's see. Let's watch this video. Yeah, it seems like you search areas and you can zoom into certain sections. Well, unfortunately, the English is not supported. This is $8.09 discounted, and it is Chinese. Interesting. Wow. I applaud the quality I see here. This looks very good. This does not seem like they skimped too much on any of the art. Like, you don't draw 12 characters. Even if every single one of these characters are like stolen characters, I don't really recognize any of them as looking like they were stolen from something else. There's kind of an inconsistency here where you have like adult men and then child, but I think that's intentional, that she's supposed to be a child and look like a child. This artwork in the zoomed out adventure area is a little bit of low effort. This but definitely could be zoomed in more and visually polished more. The text all over the screen like this is not how I would want things done. But overall, this looks way better. Apparently this is a gameplay mechanic where the text flies and you have to click on lines of text. It's kind of a shame it's not translated to English though. And I guess that's what we're going to inherently need to see is even if there are good games in Chinese on Steam, they have to have some English support, or the West, people who speak only English, are never going to get that message. Moving on with the news, we have Gamatsu has an article. The new Guilty Gear is a complete reconstruction of the franchise, says the series general director. Okay, like definitely trying to get you hyped for the new Guilty Gear that was just announced a couple days ago. Gamatsu has the Azure Lane Crosswave Long Battle gameplay. They've definitely been consistently hyping Azure Lane. It makes it feel like Azure Lane is going to be the next big thing, and I kind of don't believe, at least in the West, it will be. But it might gain an audience. I just don't think it will be more than a niche audience. Gamatsu has an article. The Atelier Ryza latest trailer is out. 2 minutes of new footage. A new Atelier game trailer here. Which, again, do I really need to be hyped more on the Atelier series? I don't think so. It's an RPG series that definitely is in consideration for being in the top 10 list of JRPG games in particular that I would want to cover. Gamatsu has an article. Animated visual novel If My Heart Had Wings is coming to the Switch this summer in Japan. So another visual novel coming to the Switch. Replacing what the Vita was mostly used for. So these both have Reborn. I don't know if there's a great reason to try and take them out. Hit this guy first, I guess. And then do that.
Job's done.
Next, we have a game on Steam that's clearly a troll game called Murder Wave Digital Slaughterer, with clown people that might be naked, I can't even tell. There's nothing here, clearly. This is early access, $2.99 discounted, 8 achievements, English only. This is not a game that people should buy. Let's see. Just trying to burn through these last few games. Next, we have a game on Steam called Flandre's Dream 36,000 Feet Deep. This has an attractive, bright, colorful anime thumbnail to it, but this looks to me like it's a very low effort game. Like, the actual gameplay looks terrible. So is this some kind of cheap Chinese product, or is this just a low effort Japanese product? That's what I would guess it is. It's $9.99, English, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. I would say because the Chinese is really above the Japanese, that this is probably a cheap Chinese product. But I could certainly be wrong. I'm just making a guess.
Face me, you tempting tyrant!
Protocol 7 engaged.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Penguins of the North, which seems to be a penguin battling simulator game. It doesn't look particularly interesting. Maybe it's the penguins mirror your actions, so you're trying to get to the key and avoid getting hit. But yeah, I'm definitely not seeing anything here that's complicated enough to justify the $4.99 they want. Frankly, if enemies mirroring your actions needs to be something in a much larger puzzle game like Warcraft Go was, there was definitely a point where characters mirrored your actions, but yeah, but that's more than it needs more than that. It needs a lot more puzzles and concepts and gameplay mechanics than that. That's an interesting thought. If I stopped playing Hearthstone and started playing the Marvel game once it comes out, and the Marvel game doesn't have daily quests that pop up every 3 days, but instead say lets you have daily quests that pile up every 5 days. Yeah, I think I'd do like a Monday stream only. And then I could curate the games that come out on Steam enough that that would be a much better experience. Yeah, getting down to a weekly experience would save me at least 6 hours a week in work. Yeah, so that's a potential hopeful thought depending on how Marvel actually plays. Getting back to video game news and looking at terrible games, we have Special Force VR, Infinity War. This clearly is just trying to create name confusion. It's already rated mixed. It's early access, requires VR. It's $14.99, which is probably the right pricing. But then it's English, German, Korean, and Russian, so it's like all over the place. And this is just like an asset flip VR game, and what you're seeing is AI components or other players moving, where it seems like as the player yourself you're barely doing anything. Let's see. Destroy a damaged minion. Probably should have destroyed that damaged minion.
Unity. Precision.
And at the end of the video, like out of nowhere, you have this section that pops up where it's I'm not showing it. There you go. That's all of a sudden it says, oh yeah, we're gonna put in many more costumes, and we're gonna put in a bunch of anime lewd girl costumes in this shooter. Alright, well, this game wasn't going on the fall list anyways, but that certainly goes to show where their head is at. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, NES, Nintendo Switch Online adds Kung Fu Heroes and Vice Project Doom on August 21st. They've already gotten down to where they're only giving 2 games per month, where it was like 2.5, 3 games. And Kung Fu Heroes and Vice Project Doom, not a good selection of games, certainly. I don't get how this is a seller for them, frankly. I don't see how they think that's a smart move when they could have just said, hey, we're going to put out 100 games at the very beginning of getting Nintendo Switch Online. As long as you pay for Nintendo Switch Online, you have access to that 100 games. Frankly, for the NES kind that they could probably license, they could get 200-300 games in there. So it really doesn't make sense to slowly trickle out these things. Speaking of things that don't make sense, we have a troll game here on Steam called Genius In Girl Go Pels Chan 3. Seems like this is half anime troll and half troll versus the bad guys from World War II. $6.99. It's way too expensive. English only. This is not a game worth playing.
What now?
This really feels like a game that if anybody was trying to play on any kind of stream, it's because they're trying to intentionally get banned from that streaming service, so they can whine about it later. Next, we have a game on Steam called Tia.save, which looks like an RPG Maker game. Looks like a low effort game. It's $9.98, which is way too expensive. We haven't been harping on the prices too much, but almost every bad game so far we've seen on Steam is way more expensive than it should be.
Let the pain speak to me.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Wonder Boy Returns Remix, which I think I really want to play the Wonder Boy series, at least the newer versions of it, the Wonder Boy and Monster Boy games. Perhaps I really would only spend like 5 minutes playing the original Wonder Boy games. This is the This seems to be a different version from what you get if you buy just Wonder Boy and Wonder Boy Returns. So I'm gonna put this on the... Well, I'm gonna do some investigation actually and probably just put this on the wish list. Yeah. And yes, this does look like an NES game, and yes, I rant all the time about how I don't want to play NES games, but this actually I think was an NES game, or actually I think it was a Sega Genesis game, and then it becomes historically relevant, and then it becomes something I'm actually interested in playing.
Face me, you meddling moron!
Of course it's the right way.
Let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna do some investigation and then put that on the wish list. I think I can just jump to that point. Next, we have a game on Steam called Don't Die, which has a little bit of visual polish here. It looks like this might be a VR game against zombies. It's a little too dark screenshot, and it seems like the person who was recording was looking down the whole time. So, where it feels like he's just tilted his head throughout the whole thing. Yeah, there's not enough visual polish here to sell me on this thing. Yeah, it just doesn't look that good. $5.99 discounted. Apparently it's relevant to me because I own Doom 2, bunch of languages. Yep, just not good enough. And this is the only game from this developer too, which frankly it feels like this is a game that
What now?
would have come out from somebody who had made a couple other things before. Let's do that. Do this. Do this.
You gigantic goose.
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called The Unclearness, which is a weird name for a title because it makes me feel like the audio is just going to be like corrupted throughout the entire game. But it seems like the video is going to be corrupted throughout the entirety of the game. This is one of those examples of a trailer where it's not going to show you anything other than a strip club. Hey, you're going to walk through a strip club. What's funny is it seems like more effort was put into this. You have two trailers here. It feels like somebody's really trying to sell something. This is a real professionally made thumbnail. This isn't just a low effort thing. This guy looks like a low effort, an actually animated character. I don't know if this game is good or not. It's early access. It's $19.99. It's English and Russian with full audio Russian. This might actually be a good Russian game. I'm going to put it on the follow list and give it a chance, which frankly is saying a lot. Let's see. Just have a couple of more games to cover, then we'll be done for today. We have a game on Steam called Princess vs. Dragons Royal Rumble. It seems like it's a 4-player infinite runner split screen game where you're also fighting each other. Yeah, this seems like they threw a bunch of things they thought would appeal to girls and then put it on top of player versus player bad game. Early access discounted to $17.99, which is too expensive. Local multiplayer only, English full audio allegedly. So you really can't even play the game. Let's see. Echo. This. And that. And that. And that. Just force this guy to draw as many cards as possible. Even though that's obviously what he's trying to do. Next, Gamatsu has an article, the romance visual novel, Aibeya? Interesting. That doesn't feel Japanese. Ai means love in Japanese, but I've never heard of Bei or Ya. It's coming to the PS4 on November 28th in Japan. A sudden move-in with a childhood friend. Which is, you know, the standard romance contrivance for most Japanese stories is either it has to be a childhood friend or a stepsister or something. Otherwise, you would have no interaction with that person of your same age, without bringing great shame upon yourself and others.
Quickly.
Let's see. Well, it's another visual novel. It's coming to the PS4. We'll wait to see if it gets
Your magic
censored,
shall not save you.
or if there's anything even in it to censor. On the turn. Got just a couple more. Libretto is making more progress in their AI service, machine translation, OCR, and text-to-speech. This is a major effort that they've been doing to make it work so that you could play a game, even if it's not in your language, around the world with some level of accuracy. Being able to press a button, take a screenshot of what you're seeing on the screen, and seeing what they have to say. Now, inherently, I don't think you're going to get this configured to work the way you want it to for like a visual novel. I don't think you're going to be able to play something that has 44,000 words in it and translate it into anything recognizable from Japanese to English in particular. But if you're playing a JRPG and it's just saying enter your name, you could do a screenshot there and realize, oh, okay, that's what it's asking me to type in, so I'll type it in. And then you probably would then still have to ignore most of the... There's a lot of flashing in this video. I don't understand what an AI service would use the VR service. It seems like they've integrated it pretty well too. It seems like it is actively blacking out the Japanese, which I would assume this is actually originally, and replacing it with a new font. But here they're playing like a JRPG. Yeah, if they've got it down to the point where it will just automatically translate everything very well, that's amazing. Now the question to ask yourself too is this going to be something that works really well on a Raspberry Pi? Probably not. You're probably in a better position to assume that it is going to only work if you're running Libretto on a PC. Too late to play that. I don't think I really... I'll read this article later and see if there's anything more interesting to say there. But it's an amazing push, certainly, for just trying to make games as accessible, particularly old games, as accessible as possible. More accessible than ever before.
Alright.
Next we have a game on Steam called As Divine Minisa, which looks like a JRPG, RPG Maker game. The thing that catches my attention and reminds me here is that it has now probably been about 2 weeks, and this is Friday, and we haven't seen any games on Steam, I think, in about 2 weeks that have nudity or sexual content in them. So if by next Friday we don't see that, then I guess that's back on the table. I'm a little surprised we haven't heard stories of violent troll gun games being not allowed on Steam, but I don't think Steam's gonna fall for that, as the makers of Fallout. Divine Manisa is on the following list already.
What now?
It's $11.69. It's English and Japanese. I don't really see a reason why I would have put this on the follow list, though. It really shouldn't be. So I'm gonna have to do some research on that and figure out why. Alright.
Save the best for last.
Yeah, just play as many cards as possible. That's all I'm trying to do. LibRetro and RetroArch, by the way, I believe have connected their search bars. So if you're on either website, it searches both, which is just a convenience factor, certainly.
Must consider.
Well, I guess I take it back, because this next game is tagged with sexual content and nudity. So maybe this is really more of a testament to timing or quality control. We have a game on Steam called Lost Smiles Memories and Promises. This came out, I believe, right at the end of the stream on Wednesday. It is tagged sexual content and nudity. It's a visual novel game. You can see it's animated characters. Your pick of anime characters that you can date. I won't watch the video just in case there's something there. Now the weird thing here though is English language is not supported, so it's $44.99 for Japanese only and full Japanese audio. So this can't go on the follow list for me. Are we going to potentially start to see a case where there are different standards based on whether a game supports the English language or not? That would be an interesting twist in the on and off drama of Steam's censorship or attempt to not be a censoring a body, even though it does seem to sometimes be a censoring body. And then the final game I have open right now is a game called GGG Collection, which is just a collection of extremely low effort garbage games. It's free to play, it's English only. I don't think I need to say anything more about that. And then that brings me to the Humble Bundle, and then I'll go back to the Twitter feed. Let's see. Any new Humble Bundles? No, not really.
I wonder.
Yeah. So, yeah, let's go back to the Twitter feed now and see if there's...
Quickly.
There we have a Hat in Time was rated for the PS4 and Switch by the USRB, dated under U&I Entertainment, which is a retail game distributor. So a Hat in Time for the PS4 and Switch is probably coming out in physical forms, which that doesn't surprise me. Hat in Time, definitely the kind of game that would make sense to put in a physical form.
Me.
Precision.
Yeah, I'm back to the new Twitter latest tweets feed. I think that's pretty much where we've got to be. Seems like they kind of fixed the response issue with, or I muted the one person that was getting a lot of comments and responses. Still getting 2K to retweet a lot of WWE stuff, so they're hyping up a little bit of that too much, but not ridiculous amounts. This. And then this. this.
Orders received.
So here's Gamatsu's article, Plants vs. Zombies Battle for the Neighborville, trademarked in Europe. This sounds like it's a new Plants vs. Zombies Modern Warfare, Garden Warfare style game, not Plants vs. Zombies 3. Well, actually they pictured Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. So I guess Battle for Neighborville might be the third Plants vs. Zombie games that I think they're working on, but I don't see a reason why they wouldn't just call that Plants vs. Zombies 3. And then here we have a troll game called Mega Mim 2. It's a Mega Man troll MS Paint garbage game. Discounted to $2.99, English only. Not worth anyone's time. And yeah, that's all the latest tweets I had. And so, where is this going to leave me today as we're in the stream? We have 3 more warrior cards that I need to do, and then just a bunch of rogue cards that I'm gonna have to play off screen, and then more murlocs occurring. More murlocs need to be played on the Americas account. So not only do I need to get victories that I'm gonna do playing off screen, I need to get actual play of the cards, which means a lot more frustration and a lot more time. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording and stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.